As Sega was a powerhouse in the early 90s to late 90s, let's go back to 1985. Sega released Space Harrier in 1985 in the arcades, and was one of the first of its kind. Sega released Space Harrier as a third-person armor shooter. Now, you agree to this game, you may ask. Well, legendary Yu Suzuki. Excuse me. Yu Suzuki created a lot of classics for Sega, like Outrun, Afterburner, even the infamous Shenmue. Well, not infamous, but cult classic Shenmue. I'll get that in a minute. Let's go get around my history of the game, and let's get rid of it. When I first played Space Harrier, it was on Stockholm Legends Collection on PS3. Now, the PS3 port of Space Harrier was kinda shit, if I may add. It was kinda shit because the sound quality was terrible, and it was also unlockable. But luckily, you had some other options, like getting... what's another option? Like, you could get extra lives, well, you can set the amount of lives, set the amount of difficulty, etc. Space Harrier has 18 stages, 16 of which have weird fucking names, and 2 of which are bonus stages. Now, with the 16 stages with weird names, what kind of fucking names are Parms or Moot? Which kind of scares me how assembled is spelled. Anyway, and also great to hear with the classic phrase, "Welcome to the fantasy zone, get ready." It's always great to hear whenever I'm starting a game of Space Harrier. Some of the characters in the game include Easter Island heads, fighter jets, robots with different colors, jellyfish type creatures, and my personal favorite, the Cyclops woolly mammoth. Now, I'm not lying with you. I agree with Mark from Classic Game Room. I want one of those things as a fucking pet. I really do want a Cyclops woolly mammoth as a pet. The bosses in the game are kind of, well, how do you put the, what's the word I'm looking for, how you put the bosses in the game? They're kind of fucking cheesy, if you want to call it that. In the 2 bonus stages I mentioned earlier, basically you're the cat-like thing named Ura, or how you pronounce the fucking name. Anyway, you're smashing the buildings, and well, it involves you smashing the trees or buildings depending on what special stage you're on, either stage 5 or stage 12. Moving aside from the gameplay, there are many fucking ports of the fucking game out in the fucking open. Yeah, I know it's say fucking open, but I don't give a fuck. But anyway, out of the million ports of the game, which of course I'm exaggerating, out of the million ports of the game, I'll pick my favorites. Starting off with the Master System version of the game. Now, before we begin anything else with this game, with support of the game, it is fucking shit. Anyway, this version had an extra boss, which will not feature in the arcade version. It's also featured in the Sharp X68 100,000, whatever, 100,000 version, how you press the fucking name of the console. But anyway, this boss, named Ayaho, or if I'm saying it right, was in both versions of the game, or the Sharp version of the game and the Master System version of the game. And now, how to describe this boss? Kind of like a fire snake, some shit like that. I kind of say a cat. There are 2 of them at screen at once. It's kind of frame rate laggy, if you put it that. Now, the game was released on 32X in 1995, about 10 years after the game came out in arcades. Now, I call this game the arcade perfect port, though it was released in the 1990s. This version was the last on the cartridge-based Sega console. Now, it plays really damn well, better than the Master System version any fucking day. Believe it or not, there was a Famicom version of this game. If you don't know what the Famicom is, basically the Japanese version NES game, but this version made up the Kara, licensed by Sega, and surprisingly licensed by Nintendo at the time. This was a better 8-bit port of the game than the Master System version. Though it was on a Nintendo console, I can't show any footage of the game due to Nintendo's copyright on Nintendo videos. Remember I mentioned Shenmue at the beginning of the video? Well, Yu Suzuki, the creator of the Space Harrier, he was able to port the game, or the arcade version of the game, rather, inside using Shenmue. Now you can play the game in your arcade, cost 100 yen to play in virtual arcade, and well, of course Shenmue. Among other sequences like Afterburner, but you can play Outrun in Shenmue. Sega would later make Space Harrier on the PS2 as a remake of the original game. Honestly, in my opinion, it's fucking shit. Like, Sega didn't even fucking try remaking this game on the PS2. I mean, they really made up for it for releasing the Sega Ages version of Space Harrier, which included Space Harrier 2, Space Harrier 3D, Space Harrier on Master System, and arcade version of Space Harrier. In 2013, Sega would aim to remake Space Harrier once again, this time on Nintendo 3DS. Now, using the original source code of the arcade game, Sega AM2 remade the game using 3D functionality of 3DS, so meaning the stereoscopic 3D, pronouncing the word right, which I'm probably gonna eat. Remember the boss Ayaho I mentioned earlier in the Master System version? Well, he makes an appearance in this version as the final boss of the game if you enable the special feature, or the special option at the beginning of Space Harrier before you start the game. Now, unfortunately, due to Nintendo's copyright, I can't use footage of the 3DS version either. I'm sorry for that. Tune out this video. If you ever get the chance to play Space Harrier, either on the Master System, which that port is shit by the way, you get to play on the PS2, the Sega Ages Collection, or the arcade machine, like the movable arcade machine where you can move and you can, you move and you aim. Or, yeah, you got what I'm getting at. If you ever get the chance to play this game, fucking play it. You will not regret it. Thanks for watching.